So I'm gonna transfer Scorpion from this bottle into that bottle, ideally successfully. So something told me to grab these chopsticks. I was coming back from that sushi place today. Oh! Don't worry, I went into the most secure place possible. This coffee pot. Well, it's actually where all the rest of the mezcal this little guy was in to begin with. And now, down the pipe it goes. Magic. So, I'm not much of a drinker. In fact, I don't really drink at all. So it's definitely interesting to, be making this little tonic. And you guys are catching me in the middle of the mix. But I'll tell you what's going on. And it's a pretty neo-traditional approach to flower essence making / little impromptu renegade. Do with what you have. And I guess this might be my first video. I might not even edit it. It's just gonna go down like this. So basically this is mezcal. Scorpion mezcal. So as you saw, it comes with a little scorpion in it. And I poured it out into that coffee pot so that I could actually grab the scorpion and stick it in this guy. What is this guy, you might ask? Well, it's pretty magical. This is Queen of the Night flower essence. For those of you that know, that's pretty exciting. Because Queen of the Nightflower literally only blossoms at night, once a year. And if you're lucky, you get to see it. And if you're extra lucky, as I have been, I've got to see them bloom 3 nights in a row. Because there's a cactus outside my door that allows me to do that. And since I'm not being overly precious about this video, right? It's gonna be the first video. Mostly it's that I don't know how to flip the whole thing over. I'm gonna show you what these flowers look like because for the 3rd night in a row, we've got some blossoms. So, check these babies out. Look at that. Look at that. So gorgeous. The fragrance is pretty nice. They've described it as incredible, but, I don't know. Maybe it's just that I prefer gardenias or magnolias, and I don't know. I mean, the scent is pretty great. It kind of reminds me of a ylang-ylang-esque type of vibe. They're so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna do the experiment to see if these actually wither and die the way the first one did, because the first time that I saw these, I was obviously in awe. It was just one, and a little lighting change. It was just one. And then I said, oh, wow, that is so cool. You know what? I want to check before the morning is up to see if it closes, if it opens. Like, you know, what happens? What happens when Queen of the Nightflower blooms? And then the next night, 2 more blossomed. And what I had found the first day, though, next to the cactus was this. Maybe you can see that. Like on the other side. Like as if it had just crisped up and just... Sorry, I don't know if you could see this. This is the freaking flower. But like burnt up. So I saw that and I was like, holy shit, what a fucking waste, you know? These are some legendary, epic flowers. I'm getting to experience them. Actually, very powerful witch, Ashley Glynn, had tattooed some Queen of the Nightflower on me 3 years ago. And funny enough, sometimes it takes 3 years for these flowers to bloom. So when I saw the decrepit, this version, I was like, holy fuck, how are we gonna... I would really love to honor these flowers. Allow them to be a bit more legendary. Have a little bit more of a legacy if they would allow me, you know? So the next day, I clipped these guys. And they were in full bloom. So it kind of turns out that if you try to cut it, because I did so I could stick it in the vase that I had. The inside, actually, it doesn't look quite like this. It looks star-like. This is just a wet version of it. It just spirals out. Imagine that. And now it kind of feels like alien carcass. Feels weird to touch them. I actually wasn't gonna fully touch them, but they closed up during the night. Like, I would guess in the morning, they just closed up. And I was gonna make a point not to touch them just in case I wanted to keep using them for an essence. I wanted to see if they would open up. They have not opened up like their brethren over there outside. But at least they didn't turn into this decrepit, burnt thing here. So I'm gonna go with, they're just doing their thing here. So actually I was gonna return them to their cactus friends because I think they've done already a cool enough job being friends here. So it's just cool to give thanks, in whatever way you want to. And then when you make medicines, it's like there's no need for me to hold on to them. It's like, it just feels like they get to return. They get to return back to where they came. And it's cool because there's like these little slots they can sort of slide right into. Since they didn't bloom, I have a really cool cell phone that can make cooler videos than this guy. So, just stay tuned. I don't know. I'm just using this front camera because, okay, so let's see. Right. So there we go. We've just returned them to where they came and just said many thanks. So this one's probably going to bloom tomorrow. Looks like. And that's the third one we have on here. We have these 3 left. So hopefully they actually just open and close. I hope that they just close up at night. In the morning, and that they open back up at night. Otherwise, I'm going to feel silly for not making another version of what's in this jar. That's right. So we're getting back to this. What is in this jar? In this bottle, we have Queen of the Nightflower essence combined with this scorpion mezcal. Now, the cool thing about finding the scorpion mezcal, which is also just out of the norm for flower essence making, that's why we're talking neo-traditional, neo-baroque, is the fact that you, generally speaking, you use a brandy or organic grain alcohol, at least 40 proof. And, right, I guess I should just have this in the mix, right? Anyway, whatever. It's done its job. So, yeah, you generally use that. So I'm not pretending over here that I have, you know, I am the smartest, acclaimed herbalist of all time. No, I'm just a witchy witch inspired by the nature around her. That's it. That's really all it is. And so, of course, even though I don't drink alcohol generally, obviously I get to try a little bit of this. And so this is about 50-50. 50-50 the flower essence, mother, which is this called the mother, right? And you have 50% the flower essence, which if you want to know how to make a flower essence, literally Google it. It's really simple. And also pay attention to the research bits that tell you a little bit more about how to interact with the plants, because that part is really important too. Like because I already knew about this, I knew to also look out for that and, you know, follow my intuitive dialogue with the plants before actually taking them and, you know, putting them in the water. So, you know, the most simple direct thing is that you're going to put flowers in water, you know, in the moonlight, or usually it's actually in the sunlight. It's much rarer to do a moon light blend, moonlight essence. It's just that these flowers bloom at night. So it was that night, and it was during Scorpio full moon. That's my, like, you know, video effects for the day. manual CGI. Yeah, so hence the neo-baroque, you know, postmodern version of this essence comes with this, you know, scorpion mezcal. It was the only one on the shelf in the grocery store because I assumed all the liquor stores were closed. And really most of them were, except the one that wasn't on Google Maps, which happened to be open once I walked by it. So when in Mexico, just walk down the block, because there'll be a liquor store there that's not on Google Maps and it will be open, unlike the ones that are on Google Maps and are farther away. So I got this at a grocery store and it was the only one. After, you know, not feeling so connected to the brandy options, cognac options, among which was, of course, Hennessy. But something about Queen of the Nightflower, you know, she felt a bit more like an essence that wanted something not so cognac-y. At least not the moonlight blend. Because I did in the morning time, once they had closed up, I decided to put them in more water outside in the sun. And that made a pinker infusion, and it was a really interesting infusion. But I don't really know, you know, it's not the same vibe as, you know, the flower when it's open and bloomed and been sitting in water and, you know, in the moonlight. So yeah, something about this, you know, whatever, call it poetry. It's just poetic, finding meaning in something when there's nothing, but you find a meaning in it anyway. It just seemed apropos, you know, to use the scorpion mezcal. And so it's obviously 40% alcohol, so it's 80 proof. It's the minimum you need to preserve something. So, and this one in particular is finished with caramel. And a scorpion exoskeleton literal, as you saw in the beginning of the video. So the cool thing about this video is that in essence you just got to the action bit first, you know, the parts that really mattered, parts that were really interesting. And if you made it this far, it's because somehow you enjoyed the sound of my voice and curious, I suppose, to see where else this is gonna go. As in well, I'll tell you in advance, if you stick around, we can smoke a guy. So if you want to, you know, smoke with me, have a drink, and, you know, you get to do that. So start rolling up, because I'm about to roll up in a second too. And yeah, we could talk about this very cool concoction here, and how all the pieces come together, and why it's, you know, why I feel there's the magic to it, you know, that's gonna work, and who knows what else it'll become. It's so cool because there's that scorpion in there. Like, really, it's like freaking awesome. Let's just do it again. Floating scorpion. Oh, there it goes. So this Scorpio full moon was intense. And, you know, I've read enough to know some things about it, but there's something about the way my brain is wired. Maybe it's called a lack of focus or selective retention, where I'm like, everything just kind of blurs together. So if you're looking for like an astrology like digest that is perfectly succinct and tells you about the degrees and all this shit, I don't know. Maybe come back in a month. I might have figured it out by then, because I am taking a course with Yana Astonov of Creatrix Mag called Creatrix Codex, which is basically like astrology game theory, and it's a really great class. And what she doesn't know yet, which she might find out if she ever watches this video, is that I sit in her classes and literally everything goes over my head. I have like no idea what she's talking about, not because she's not clear, but because I'm just slower. I just get to learn more. You know, her perspective is more Uranian and definitely more, you know, just statistics and numbers and structures and all this like really, really cool, you know, the academic mathematician side of astrology. It's fucking legit. And I'm still learning. The very bottom basics. So I'm not here to give you an astro report. You know, my shit is just more, I'm just like a life poet. That's really more the vibe. And so my way of dealing with the astrology was, hey, wow, what a good luck to see these Queen of the Night flowers blooming outside my door. Like, it's just, I don't know if you guys understand. I think somehow I don't understand. You know, I think I got it the first moment I saw it, you know, and isn't it just like that? You know, when I first saw them, I was like freaking out. I was on the phone with them. I was like, oh my God. Is it? Can it be? I basically couldn't even talk, because I just literally never imagined that in my whole life I would somehow manage to see a Queen of the Nightflower bloom. Like, I definitely put it on my to-do list, but it definitely wasn't something that I, you know, scheduled. I mean, how can you really schedule that also? You know, that's also very real. But it just was so unexpected, which I guess is how you would notice the Queen of the Nightflower, you know? And if I were to, and it actually felt very appropriate for how my weekend went, which maybe I'll make a whole other video about how my weekend went, and then later on I can link it in the comments below, or maybe it'll just tell you to go there, you know, automatically. Because if I could describe, you know, how my first night in Tulum ever went, I definitely felt like the Queen of the Night. And at the end of the night, which of course the end of any successful night happens at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning with a soup in a beautiful beach, restaurants. You know, some chick on the beach. Daniela Nino. For those of you who want a luxury real estate agent in the Riviera Maya, Daniela Nino, look her up. She was like, oh my God, la mujer ave. She called me a bird bitch, basically. But that's not how it sounds in Spanish. But I liked it like that. You know, it made me feel cozy. Because I'm usually the fish chick. You know, I'm the fish head. Pisces sun, Cancer moon, Scorpio rising. So, you know, it obviously made sense that she called me a bird bitch. I was wearing these feathers. And, you know, some little Kali energy here. Just building spells here. Just casually building spells. This is demystifying witchcraft, by the way. This whole experience you're having with me, you know. It's like, we'll talk about these beads in a second. For those of you that know what these are, you know. But the point was, I felt like Queen of the Night. I had some really cool photos. If I was, you know, wanted to really go hard in my perfectionist ways, I would create a montage in this video with those videos. But again, maybe we'll save that for the Queen of the Night part 2, you know, when I talk of myself as the Queen of the Night. It felt good to be Queen of the Night. And so that's what this is really about, you know. The Queen of the Night flower is associated as well, if you wouldn't imagine it, with grandmother medicine, which came up a lot for me in this last weekend. Got to even speak to my own grandma, which was pretty fucking cool. And just had like loads of cute grandma interactions, you know. So we're talking about that crone medicine, that wise aspect of the feminine that is maybe no longer bleeding. Definitely just, you know, because for those, here's the cycle real quick. It's maiden, mother, crone, you know. So those of you who watch Game of Thrones, it's a similar concept, you know, the triple face goddess, the triple moon goddess, Hecate, you know, just these are the phases, maiden, mother, crone. So crone is like that last stage where you literally give no fucks anymore. You know exactly who you are. You've had the kids, you've been sexy, and maybe you're still sexy. And that's what, you know, Scorpio rising, sex, death, and transformation. So, you know, for these flowers to have sat under the Scorpio full moon, I think on the second or third day of it, whatever, it was still in that influence. You know, I feel it's holding a lot of that energy that's really important, that comes with the grandmother medicine, you know, the integrated grandmother, who gives no fucks. Like, she knows, she's the matriarch. She knows how to be the guardian of her clan, the guardian of her seeds that have blossomed and bear fruit. You know, she's sweet, like the caramel in this mezcal, but she also got that stinger. You know, she could sting. She knows what's up. At least Latin grandmothers, I'm pretty sure. Even though when I think of my grandmother on my dad's side, maybe not so much. She's not much of a stinger. My mom's mom, she is. So maybe together they create that, you know, integrated sort of feminine sting. But the whole idea anyway, you know, just been rambling, is that, you know, the integration of the dark mother, you know, and shine time at night, and just the edge of sweetness. So these beads, I picked them up here too. They're actually little tiny skulls, as you could see. I would make it a zoom in if I was, you know, really looking to be a successful videographer over here on my first try. It's actually probably the shittiest video I've ever made in my life, and I'm definitely gonna post it because that's my style these days. Welcome to a life of shit mixes and shit videos, guys. It's just what it's gonna be. And actually, this might throw you off for a second, but this is actually just a DJ channel. There's actually just gonna be music on here, but obviously not just music. I just thought that I would at least put up a music one first, but I guess my first love really is just fucking talking, and I can talk forever. So there'll be moments, I guess, where I talk and moments where I say nothing, each equally for hours. So these are Kali Mala beads, or Kali beads. I like to call them Mala beads, Kali mantra beads. For those of you who don't know Kali, once again, look her up. She's a cool bitch. She's a cool bitch. And definitely a representative and guardian of the feminine rage principle. So, you know, get to connect with that energy a bit too. Because a bitch who can't get angry is a melancholy fucker. Very easily is depressed. And that is real. So here's a tiny sip to the melancholy fucker in all of us. Just kidding. Just the melancholy fucker that lived in me. Maybe still lives in me. Who knows? We'll find out in July. But yeah. So, you know, casual rituals inspired by the now. And actually, maybe this is actually, I don't know, guys. I just had the moment where I was like, which channel do I put this on? Bitchwitch Botanica or King of the Monsters? Which one do I build up? Oh my gosh. It's a lot to have a lot of different social media profiles and platforms and shit like that. It's just too much. This would definitely make more sense on my Bitchwitch Botanica page. At the same time, I think King of the Monsters is a big enough beast to hold a lot of monstrous shit. So this will go in the Bitchwitch Botanica playlist on King of the Monsters, I believe. So I'm very excited about this. This mother is gonna go on my altar overnight, and then possibly in the fridge because it needs to stay cool in a cool, dark, dry place. So, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go learn a little bit more about mezcal, and then maybe get another type for the rest of the blend, which is gonna be pretty cool. It's in a fridge right now, so hopefully it stays good. Yeah, and then this is gonna become like, ideally, what I would actually really love to make with this is some nice, like, elixirs. And yeah, I'm gonna make a nice elixir with this. And I'm gonna, stay tuned. Stay tuned for the witchery. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna get some water. I wish this had like a pause mechanism because that would be ideal. I don't so much like the idea of doing like a part 1 and a part 2 because then I feel like I'm just gonna get in my head and I'm gonna want to edit this whole situation, right? So in Mexico, you gotta like, I mean, I guess you live, actually no, even in a fancy place, you gotta get garrafones de agua. That's like those gigantor water containers, which you then get a little pump if you're smart or lucky, and then you pump your water. So, you know, my arms are looking pretty great off of that alone. Okay, bitch was thirsty. Whew. Well, it's time to smoke a little bit. And so when I say that I'm gonna make some nice infusions and elixirs and things, you better believe that I'm gonna use my Luna blend, which is a proprietary blend that I will tell you more about, I guess, some other time. Even though now is kind of a cool time, I suppose. I just don't feel like, you know, marketing it. Which I haven't done for 4 years. Finally perfected the recipe, which I'm very grateful for. And I'll just say I really love smoking. So I feel like the grandmas that, you know, have inspired this Queen of the Nightflower essence, among them Celia Cruz. She's definitely one of those grandmas, you know, and I feel like I should, or not should, but I get to even tune in a bit to, you know, the queens of this land, which, although I don't know much about her, I do hear there's a Paquita, la del barrio. Which I guess would be like an older version Jenny from the block. Paquita, la del barrio. That's basically what it means. Where I keep my water when I'm not making smoothies. So I figured out that for the first time in my life, I just can't, it's just not as pleasant to drink lukewarm water. It's not even room temperature water. It's just warm water. It's just warm water. You gotta make it colder. So that's pretty cool. Wow, I can really talk a lot. Like, I always knew I could talk a lot. But goddamn it, I could talk a lot. I don't know. Well, let's see how this goes for me. Let's talk a lot. I mean, let's face it. Sure, things are opening up. I guess I'm just using this to make myself feel cozier. There's legit some of you that just have nothing to fucking do. Or those of you who have loads of shit to do. And because you have loads of shit to do, you're not really interacting with as many people IRL. Like, maybe you're like in your apartment, like cleaning some shit, you know, getting down, scrubbing it like a Maria, which I have been the Maria and I have enjoyed it so much. Except in my own place recently. Having a hard time getting domestic. In that, you know, prideful Latin way that we tend to get domestic. So you know, for those of you who are cleaning and just like kind of mini watching me, hearing me in the background, I fucking salute you, bro. Like 1,000%. Keep fucking going. It is worth it. Yeah. So, yeah. I think it's a cool time for me to start up this channel. And it's gonna be fucking long-winded, I suppose. I literally thought that I would... When I turned on this camera, I was like, oh, I'm making a mini content. I literally envisioned to the future. I was like, oh, it's a little mini story on Instagram. You know, when I do something with this. You know, because now it's easier to just do something. You know why? Because I'm fucking sitting in one place. I've been in one place for this long. What is it? A month and a half. In that time, I've made mixes. I've gigged as a DJ. Made other mixes. I have... What else have I done? Heard the sound of my own fucking head. Started the artist way. started an astrology course, started a sonic alchemy course, which I've only done one class. I get to really integrate into a schedule of some kind. It's been a bit challenging somehow when my sense of groundedness is challenged. So being grounded in whatever way that means to you as a person, as a being, it's essential to feel creative and able to manage the creative energy that's flowing through. And that will never stop being real as fuck. That will never stop being real as fuck. Even if you don't have like your own place or whatever, but you have something that makes you feel like it's fully in your body and like fully invited and welcome in your space, then, you start creating. But in the moment, I feel, at least for me, I would love to see how that would be different for others. But the moment I start to feel ungrounded, which is kind of how it's been for a while, like in terms of physical home life, like this is my hovel. One day I will show you this current iteration of my hovel. Perhaps it will continue to be my hovel. Perhaps it won't. And that's the crossroads. That's the threshold that I'm dealing with right now, where that sort of embracing a non-attachment to spaces where it's like, okay, this might be your hovel for now, but you might get yourself somewhere else, in a month. And that really disturbs me, or did in the last week. It disturbed me to no end, to the point that it affected my mixing, it affected my ability to do my homework, it affected, just my stamina, my will, because in some places I'm a bitch ass. That's really just what it is, like fundamentally it's just some bitch assness, sensitivity. And it's also okay, it's understandable, it's normal. If you've had the various situations that came up for me that week, any normal person would be like, all right, that's understandable that you would be blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, there's some folks that really, they just keep it pushing no matter what. They're just always dripping. And I admire them. They're like, it doesn't matter where I am or what's happening. I'm always like pushing this creative energy, these emotions into this, whatever it is that they're doing. So these foundations of discipline, they're very meaningful. So what can I offer you now? What else can I tell you or share? I think we had a little bit of everything, a little bit of, kitchen witching, a little bit of demystifying witchcraft and ritual, how spells are built. Had a little bit of botany talk. Some honesty, some confession, a little smoke, a little awareness that these blends exist and they're fabulous. And soon, because so many of you have asked me for it, by you I mean all the people now watching this, because, literally 0 followers, I think, on my channel. It's all good. Talking to myself and that eventual curious being who will then see me in like the glory of, I don't know, a year from now, or whatever timeline from now where I have like hundreds of videos, and they're like, I wonder what this bitch's first video was. And they'll be like, oh my God, that's was our first video. And I'll be like, yeah, this was the first video. This front camera piece of shit. You know? It's the irony. Because above all, I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I never would have imagined that this would be my first video. And you know what makes it actually feel pretty great? Or at least that I could do this. These fabulous fucking braids. I mean, come on. What more props do I need than this fucking head of hair here? That's it. I'm legit. I don't need anything else. But when I do start showing up, oh man, y'all are gonna be shocked. Not really. Not really. You'll see it coming. You're gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy it, above all. And I suppose there'll be a variety of things here. And I'm gonna be really glad, you know, because it can only go up from here, you know. So yeah, maybe, I guess if any of you do see this, you can let me know what sorts of things you would enjoy for me to share on here, because lately the way I've been feeling is, you know, actually I'll tell you what I was feeling. What I'm thinking is different, right? What I'm thinking is like, okay, make mixes, record myself doing it, make videos that go with the mixes. So the thing with this Queen of the Nightflower thing, originally the first inspiration is a mix. Which I started collecting songs into a playlist. So I want to try something new in my mixing style that isn't just like playing whatever comes through. I want to actually just curate some songs and curate a journey. So that might take some time. And also we have this. This was like more immediate and accessible. And so this is all part of the things that have inspired and transpired. You know, it's like part of my autobiography, if you will, of what I've been feeling and doing. And there's many ways of expressing that. You know, I think sometimes we think communication is just talking. And for someone like me, it's easy to talk, you know. At the same time, communication is more than just verbal speech or spelling, or reading. It's just all the variations of expressions of how we use energy to relay a transmission, you know. And for me, this is one of them. And it's the first time that I make such an essence like this. And I've met loads of witches too who make essences of different kinds. Some of them very, very tasty, even though they're rather rotten on the inside. Or at least they were kind of rotten to interact with. And that said, there were also very beautiful parts about them, because that's everyone, right? We all have our, you know, our bits that we brush up against with each other. And parts of me that you will find pleasant, others will find horrifying and repellent and atrocious. And same thing for all my many monsters within me. You know, some people might resonate and be like, oh shit, that's me too, gross. And also, thank you, because, you know, why else am I king of the monsters? You know, because now even I can't hurt myself with them. I'll just make flower essences about it, you know, because part of why I created this as well, or just what I noticed about the creation of this, was that, you know, I was really looking forward to sitting with some very potent medicines here to detoxify and purge, mostly from my emotional body, a lot of my discomfort with being embodied physically. And among that, like, it's really beautiful when we can connect with these ancestral technologies in order to rebirth ourselves, you know, to lighten and integrate. And it's also cool and really important to remember that those are just backdoor techniques, you know. There's the front door, and things that we're intuitively led to, you know, like how we are the medicine and we know how to create medicines for ourselves. And so, having had a pretty successful and beautiful time with flower essences in Brooklyn with an amazing facilitator who is just the bee's knees at it, you know, it's cool to come full circle to this point where when I discovered these flowers and I started to write about it, I didn't write about it yet, but I started to read about it. It was hitting on a lot of points that I wanted to deal with, actually. And because it was hitting on a lot of the points I wanted to deal with, I realized that I have the opportunity to create a medicine, you know, myself, that works on the subtle vibrational level bit by bit to help me cope and integrate these transitions I'm going through as a being, you know. And yeah, there's actually, so Queen of the Night flower essence, like a legit one you can actually purchase, especially if, you know, you want one like now. And I don't know if I'll be selling, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Partially gonna use it, of course, though I do have in mind, you know, maybe I'll actually make it available for purchase for a select few of people. There's a website that tells you the healing properties of it, as well as the spiritual aspects, and there's a little card that comes with it, because there's like the flower essence medicine cards, and that's where I discovered that also it's connected to grandmother medicine. And I'd actually like to read it to you, and at this time my iPad is upstairs, so I'm just gonna grab it real quick, and I guess I'll close up with that. Oh man, I just had some ideas of how I can edit this video. And now it starts, the notion of editing the video. Wow. Kind of don't want to do that this time around. I will do it next time, because this is just a scattered little moment. So, Queen of the Night. I guess it would be cool, you know, if I was giving you, you know, less of this waiting time. So I'm just going to read you from the descriptions from powerfloweressences.com. And I would like to imagine that I will have the administrative, mindfulness to include a link in this here description. So the basic captions: the Queen of the Nightflower essence assists women during the changing cycles of life, helping us to age gracefully. So that's an interesting one because I'm 32 now, I don't think that my my moon is gonna stop coming anytime soon. But, I think no matter what age we're in, we're always going through cycles. And that's the beauty of astrology. Astrology is not about horoscopes. It's about studying cycles. That's the fucking trip. Cycles. So that's the little basic guy. So then the healing properties of Queen of the Nightflower essence assists in balancing one's yin qualities. In other words, like the feminine receptive principle, by opening channels to the womanly gifts and secrets buried in the deep places of their psyches. Also, I just want to pause and, I didn't write this description. Neither am I going to pretend to be fully aware of all of the jargon that creates the least triggering inclusivity. So that's just my preface. As I read, I can do my best to actually somehow make this more inclusive. At the same time, I'm working with the language that is here. And there is something that is inherently feminine and masculine, or lunar, solar, receptive, directive. It's a lot of semantics that I cannot cover so directly at this moment. And so, is this relating specifically to those of us with a womb, those of us who menstruate, those of us, I'm not really sure what angle they're getting at. So I'm gonna just replace it with the feminine polarity, and feminine polarity being something that is not exactly correlated with gender, as much as it is just the principle of that energy. And if you would like to gently offer feedback on how this could be restructured, thank you. And also, I get to share that with this website. So, Queen of the Nightflower assists in balancing one's yin qualities by opening channels to the feminine gifts and secrets buried in the deep places of our psyche. This flower remedy is a valuable tool for women during the changing cycles of life, helping us to age gracefully and honor the subtle grace of the age. In other words, crone medicine. They have a little incantation or a little poem. Queen of the night, lunar light, bathe my soul tonight in virtue, truth, and serenity. Let my heart be one with thee. So then there's, other info here. So the archetype is grandmother wisdom. Grandmothers, the wise women elders, shared the knowledge of changing cycles and seasons, offering the song of life to those who long to hear the truth. Through the teachings of grandmother wisdom, we come to know the moon and all her cycles. She leads the way through the moonlit paths of our inner worlds, gently tugging at the veil of darkness. She teaches us that every heart is filled with dreams, prayers, hopes, and faith, and that a graceful life is given to those who are grateful. The healing. Queen of the Night comes to you today, showering you with moonbeams of heavenly wisdom. You are crowned with her brilliant aura as she protects and overlights your journey into the great mystery, shining in your heart like an evening lantern. She lights your way to greater self-knowledge, You may wish to meditate at night under the moon, letting its luminous rays caress you with their lunar light. Teaching patience, love, and endurance, the Queen of the Night reminds you that you too are a keeper of wisdom. Perhaps you need to be reminded of your own innate healing abilities. Perhaps it is time to focus your healing light upon yourself in order to revitalize the storage house of your own precious energy. And that is definitely one of the most impactful parts of what, inspired me to make this essence, because, I've been in one way or another, I'm not removed from the notion that only I can heal me, It's like I facilitate healing for others. At the same time, I'm not healing them. I'm not their healer. I'm not a healer of anyone else but me. So I'm a healer of me, not healing others. They get to heal in the space that I create for them to be held, and loved non-judgmentally, So there's another website called Desert Alchemy that has another description, that's not so gender specific. So it says, Queen of the Night can help us sink deeply into the intuitive root of our being to ground our subtle sensitivities. It helps us to open to the qualities of the moon in our daily life, experiencing the blissful perspective of deeper understanding, feeling, and sensuality. So the harmonizing qualities. It facilitates an integrated sense of our godliness and humanity, the feeling of spiritual wholeness, radiance, without blame or harshness, deeply intuitive, receptive, in touch with deeper inner wisdom, opening to the moon energy in daily life, experiencing the blissful power of deep seeing, understanding, feeling, and sensuality, sinking deeply into the intuitive root of our being to ground subtle energies. So it helps create that. So when you have a pattern of imbalance, one of the following areas, this flower essence can help you. So when you feel like a victim of the frailty of life, you feel impotent, you're looking for, borrowing, or adopting a justification for our existence or spiritual belonging. It's kind of a mouthful, but basically, it's like basically looking externally for a reason why you get to be here. And I'm not scoffing at you, or I don't really know where that scoff came from. It's probably something of my own self, but it's just basically, it's not outside of you, the reason why you're here. It's because of you. You chose to be here. So feeling inadequate in the face of Source, or God, or Creatrix, or whatever you want to call it. Hopelessness, feeling disconnected from the vibrant flow of life. Distortion or blockage of the female receptive principle. Fearful, scattered, nervous, pushing, or trying but feeling inadequate. Fear of wide open spaces. Distrustful or out of touch with your intuition. So there was a couple of these that really resonated with me a lot. If I'm going to be fully vulnerable, I'll share them. Just before seeing these flowers, just before this weekend that I had, I did feel a bit more fearful and scattered and nervous and a bit disconnected from vibrancy. And I also have been rebuilding trust with my intuition, and there's certain places where it's really, really sharp, because there's a difference between making choices just to make choices. I want to do this, okay. Sometimes, even though we want to go a certain way, there's something that's telling us, nah, this is not the way. but we can't see or understand or fathom what it is that could be coming, which is the reason why whatever XYZ thing that's coming up for us is not really, working. So some keywords related to the Queen of the Night cactus, because this one specifically is from a cactus. And then if it's interesting, if you think about a cactus, right, where it's something that just requires way less water and way less maintenance. Like, what a glorious flower erupted from this legitimately fucking cool, relatively low maintenance plant. So these, is a combination, these keywords are a combination of constructive keywords and also the maybe what you want to call the blockages or the areas of stagnation or the areas of opportunity. However you want to frame it, because it's not exactly, oh, these are positive and these are negative. The things just are. Some of them are more constructive and harmonizing, and others are more disconnecting and, areas where we can plug in. So these keywords, if you've got this going on or you want to create this, right? And you apply that to the words, that makes sense, right? So abandons, calm, creativity, disassociated, disconnected, dreams, fear, frail, impotent, inability, inadequacy, inspiration, intuition, meditation, moon, nervous, parents, peace, receptive, brain, security, scattered, self-empowerment, sensitive, sexuality, stillness, victim, wisdom, feminine, dark, strength, jealous, regression, yielding, destiny, trust, attune, vision, safety, psychic abilities, spiritual connection, spiritual consciousness, spiritual wholeness, trying to. So I suppose, like, for those of you who've had a flower essence session before, and I guess for those of you who haven't even, I guess it would, like, the use of any of these words would indicate that this is possibly a flower essence that may resonate for you to work with, So you can continue to read on more and more. And at this particular website, there's some articles on which this essence appears, where the core issue is, I guess it's like related around core issues. And there are the following: meditation, self-esteem, sensitivity, spiritual self-care, recovery from traumatic experiences. So I think I've equipped you pretty cool. This has been a very roundabout, long-ass video, cluing you into what the fuck I was doing with that scorpion and this bottle of goodness. And so I am a being of many names, many monikers, and roles. And I guess in this moment that I've shared with you, I have been Priestess Nobody, which is a moniker I've had for some time now. And, Priestess Nobody is also King of the Monsters. That's my sound alchemy role, title, name, prescription. I don't know, defense mechanism. It's more likely a defense mechanism than anything else. And so, Priestess Nobody is an impersonal refraction, and she's here to serve, and King of the Monsters is someone that embraces the dirty work, the mycelial network that, allows us to nourish the soil within which we root so we can grow really, really tall. And we're not scared of the things that go bump in the night. or in the dark like scorpions. So thank you for your time. If you made it this far, congratulations. Big love to you. Big thanks. And I'll see you when I see you. Ideally, I won't be talking and it'll just be a mix for you to listen to. But who knows, maybe I'll talk to you again sooner than later. And who knows, maybe I'll do some of that shit where, you know, somebody pulls a card. I mean, I can maybe pull a card for you too. Fuck it, why not? Let's leave it with a card. I've already read quite a bit to you. I mini thought maybe, you know what, I discovered this oracle, online oracle deck situation, which is pretty cool. And would be kind of cool to just read that to you, because then you can take that into your own hands and utilize it, you know, just as a little reminder. And actually, I think that's what I'm gonna do, because that's actually feels cooler. So first one came out, it is Whale Spirit. So this is from Colette Baron Reed. I don't know much about her, okay, so I'm just gonna preface that by saying that I just think it's really fucking cool that you can go on her website and she's got these oracle decks online where you can actually just choose one of 3 decks that call to you. You click on it with a question, and sometimes there's just 1 card, sometimes it's 3. This one offered 3, so I guess that's like a mini bonus round, because you can log off now or just do the one. But this one, so I don't know, I think it's cool, and as long as you don't get like obsessive and addictive thinking that, you know, these oracle cards are future telling and you don't abuse them, they're actually just great tools sometimes when you want to get a little cultivation of the intuition, which is once again what we're doing here with Queen of the Nightflower essence. You know, oracle decks are a pretty cool tool to connect with the intuition, as long as you remember that they're just stories, reflections. So, card for the day, Whale Spirit. Trust the Great Mystery. Whale Spirit, and it's card number 65. So those of you who are into numerology, that's 11. So those of you who vibe the 11 principle, well, it's an 11 card. You can go and look up what else that means. So Whale Spirit is an ancient creature who was here at the beginning of time and who has seen everything, felt everything, and heard everything that has ever transpired on this planet. In the hidden realms where all things must gather first before manifesting into form, Whale Spirit is the keeper, singing the soul of the whole world from the deepest waters of the coldest seas. When Whale Spirit appears, it is a reminder that there is a great mystery that you must accept without intellectually trying to understand it. Some things cannot be known by the mind, only experienced through the heart. Through intuition and through the peripheral senses that part the invisible veils, separating the visible world from the great manifesting consciousness in the hidden realms. Now is the time for you to immerse yourself in the great mystery of the spirit, and to trust that within the invisible, what you can't see now, are the seeds of your intentions being tended to by angels, or your spirit team, or your intergalactic space team, or whatever the fuck it is, the force from the great beyond. Use your own words. So, trust the invisible. Lean into your intuition. You know, go down into the deep depths. People tend to associate just the mental air swords in the tarot, you know, quality with coldness, you know. However, if you go deep dark into the deep waters, you know, deep emotions, they're not hot. It's cold down there. Cold as fuck. It's cold and it's dark and it's fucking weird. It's weird because on top of being mostly cold, actually there are also these random hot ass volcanoes down there, which suddenly you'll just get this burst of like heat, you know. But actually there's also a cold that one experiences by going deep into the depths of the emotion. There is the clarity of cold, you know. So because I'm already rambled this long, I'm gonna go for another card. So, bee spirit. This is cool. Bees came up for me today, like royal jelly, propolis, and bee pollen. If any of you have been waiting to tune in to what that might be about, I suggest you hop on that. And it's something I've been thinking about as well in my creations for this. So it feels really apropos because, you know, in essence, that's what sweeting is about, everything we've been talking about. So sweet results await. So remember that the first one was like, okay, the card of the day, 65 or 11. And this one is, what else do I need to know or get to know? I prefer get to know. And this card is a 7, and it's the bee spirit. So you know, trust in the great mystery unfolding. Sweet results await as a result of that dive and trusting that intuitive space. So the bee spirit message is that sweet rewards are on their way if you're willing to get your ego out of the way and immerse yourself in the connected energy of all things. Bee spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey. Miracles and magic are everywhere. When you connect with the great hive, you are vibrating and buzzing in exquisite harmony with all. Bee spirit asks that your focus be on connectivity. Your body, heart, soul, and psyche experience total interconnectedness and a true integration when you self-forget, when you remember that you are part of a greater unified consciousness. You are not alone. Moving from separation into connection, from self-centered limitation to spirit-centered infinite possibility and potential, you become busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of bee spirit. Fully in alignment with your highest expression of yourself, your heart opens and creativity rushes through you seemingly without effort as you experience that nothing feels like work. Industriousness is driven by enthusiasm and inner motivation, and time seems to fly by quickly as the hive supports you in the making of the honey. Do you feel the presence of your helpers in the hidden realms adding their energy to your creations? Or I would say your literal, actual fucking community. That's the thing. Notice it. Magical results are taking form and will be sweeter than you expect. Bee Spirit wants you to remember that your part in the divine partnership with the conscious universe is being rewarded even if you can't see that yet, and ask that you share your good fortune, as there is plenty of honey for all. Be part of the larger whole, the force that brings forth all that is sweet and delightful. So for me, one of the most important parts of this is that it asks that you share your good fortune, as there is plenty of honey for all. So it's like that really important part of not hoarding your gifts. You got gifts, you got talents, you got something to say, you got something to feel, you got something to express. It's time to just let it rip. Show them. That's why I'm gonna share this fucking janky ass video with all of you. Because I've been hoarding for so long. And for so long, people have asked, you should make a podcast. You should have a YouTube channel. you should put your art out there. You should do music. You should do this. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, but I'm not perfect, but I'm not perfect, but I'm not perfect. And who's watching and I can't do it and blah, blah, blah. Ugh, gross garbage at this point. It just doesn't fucking matter. Progress over perfection. Okay? So, just let it go. It's not that deep. And so, what is this? This is interesting. Sandpiper spirit, be playful. So, protection message. I don't know why some of them are protection message, some of them are something else. Anyway, because this is about where is this going. So, the first one was card of the day, what else do I get to know, and where is this going? So the Sandpiper Spirit says, when your heart is heavy and life seems to weigh you down, Sandpiper Spirit's message is to lighten your burden by finding joy and humor in the everyday. Become like a playful child, filled with curiosity and wonder, and soon you will feel your own spirit lift. A few minutes or hours of fun-filled delight is exactly what you need right now. Enjoy the ridiculousness of life and be willing to jump in. Let your inner goof out to express itself with abandon. That's legit. I vibe that. Because it can be playful even if it's painful. And that is real as fuck. You know? Everything exists in the yes. So it's not just one thing. You can be sad and celebratory. You can be sexy and withdrawn. You can feel extroverted and internal. You can feel many things at one time. So let that be true, especially if one of the things you're feeling at the moment is kind of taking over the rest of it and it's unpleasant. If it feels overly unpleasant and it's taking over, tune in to that thing that creates some kind of relief. And if you want to know more about creating relief, then listen to some Abraham Hicks. If you're not into Abraham Hicks, you go there and you're like, I don't get it. Hopefully you heard me. That was in a reasonably, loud car. So if you're not into Abraham Hicks and it doesn't do it for you like it did it for me in 2014, who knows how I feel now. Actually thought about it today. Then just come back. At some point we will keep talking about this, But basically just seek relief and ease, Ease and relief allows play, And at least for me, I start to know that I'm really getting on the other side of something, especially if it's really tragic and really painful, when I can finally see the humor in it. And I could right away popped in my mind, one particular thing that I'm like, I know I'm not over it because I still don't think it's funny, But there's just some things that are so fucking painful and so fucking tragic that it's actually just hilarious. It's just hilarious. That's really real. So big up to comedians for taking the tragicomedy of life and putting it on blast. Anyway, I think this is it for me for today. Have a lit ass motherfucking time, whatever you're doing, whenever you're doing it. And, ideally stay tuned. I guess I'm going to do this, more and more. And with this kind of video quality, it's obviously for me. And a little bit for you. But, maybe at some point it will be equally for you. I would love for it to be equally for you. And then ultimately, mostly for you. That would be, wow, such a cool evolution. But actually, I think equally for me and for you feels like a cool bounce. So you'll just learn here in this channel how to not take shit personal. And that no matter what people say, people do things because it makes them feel good. Even if it's as they would say, altruism, it's because it makes them feel good. And it makes me feel good to have talked this much and shared these many things. And, ideally, it actually helps one of you. Helps feels like such a fucking weird word to use, but and these butts are gross. I've picked them up from basically interacting with more people. There's a saying, to piggyback off this bee spirit thing. It's in Spanish. El que anda entre la miel, algo se le pega. That means if you're walking in the honey, you're bound to get sticky, you know? So it's interesting, you know, who we surround ourselves with, we start picking up their way of speaking, you know, the little things. So, that said, if you stick around here, you'll get to do things a lot more than you need to or have to or should or could or would. And less will you use the word but to negate everything that you just said before that sentence, because everything exists in the ands. It's an and world out here. And I feel like there was something I was actually saying before I got distracted by my own self-editing. And so with that, I'll just say thank you for stopping by. I'll keep you posted on this flower essence concoction and what else comes of it. Ideally some tinctures or elixirs. Some nice elixirs would be cool. Yeah. What else? That's it. See you soon.